It's the largest sagebrush restoration effort happening in the West, and it's here on public, state, and federal land across southwest Idaho. The Bruneau-Overholt Sage Grouse Habitat project, also known as the Bosh Project, has been working to improve sage grouse habitats for the past 5 years. Its goal is to restore the land to a more natural condition and for recreationalists, ranchers, and species living on it. Aspen Shumpert caught up with project leaders today to see if this ongoing effort is doing the job.
In the Owyhee uplands of southwest Idaho, transformation is taking place. Crews have been removing western juniper trees that are encroaching on critical habitats for sage grouse birds. Birds that Connor White, the coordinator of the Bosh Project, says are a charismatic bird of the West.
The science is very clear that sage grouse start avoiding areas with only a couple trees per acre.
The project aims to conserve the sage grouse population that White says we've already lost half of since settling in the West. To do so, various state and federal agencies and wildlife advocacy groups together have been removing juniper trees the last 5 years.
The project began in 2019 with about 40,000 acres completed then. And since then, we've done just over 216,000 acres. And last year, 2024, was our best year to date, and we did just over 63,000 acres.
White says instead of junipers sticking to rocky ridgelines, they've moved into sagebrush rangeland. The work involves cutting encroaching junipers in late summer through early winter each year, followed by controlled burnings in the spring when conditions are safest.
All conifers, and what we have is western juniper, they're historically been controlled by fire. And ever since we settled the West, we've been pretty good at removing fire from the landscape. So that's allowed them to just really expand into places where they shouldn't be, to the detriment of species that depend on sagebrush.
While the landscape may initially look disturbed, White emphasizes the approach benefits more than just sage grouse.
It just adds resiliency to the landscape, which plays into a whole host of issues, whether that's, hunters, whether it's the livestock industry and the agricultural industry, whether it's recreationists out there, wanting to hike around. It's healthy landscapes, fire-resilient landscapes.
While benefiting the species that rely on sagebrush to survive.
There's various songbirds like brewer's sparrow. Obviously the one, the charismatic one that we're targeting the project with is sage grouse, but then there's a whole host of benefits for mule deer, elk, pronghorn antelope, you name it.
White says the restoration efforts appear to be paying off.
When Fish and Game was flying, their usual lek routes this spring, we found several new leks, potential new leks, which is honestly a really big deal for a long-lived species like sage grouse. You don't usually see those big jumps in population, so to go out and find nearly 100 new birds in a half dozen potential new leks is a huge win.
Tells me that the total of just over 200,000 acres that they have burned is only about 35% of the authorized treatment area. So they have another 30 to 40,000 planned for this fall. They'll continue to cut and do this restoration for as long as the funding allows.
I know that this is the type of work that may seem like in the weeds, no pun intended, but this is really important work for our wildlands. It's a part of Idaho that makes it so unique as our public land and maintaining it in a healthy way.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Aspen, appreciate it.